Today's the day for dehairing and refleshing. The hide's been soaking for I think 2.5 days here, and let's see what it's like. First step is to get it up here on the beam and start getting some of that hair off. So it's generally best when dehairing to be working with the hair pointing down the beam. On this skin, the hair, like this is the spine here, and the hair seems to mostly grow this way off to the side, so I'll have to be kind of adjusting. So you'll notice this time that I'm working with the tool at this angle. So what I'm really doing is I'm not cutting or scraping, I'm kind of pulling the hair out by just dragging the tool across it. And I'm also using the concave side this time. I'll get some close-ups here pretty soon so you can see what's going on, but I'm not getting all of the hair out. There's a lot of small hairs that look like they're broken off in there. Some of those may be new hairs that were growing in, so they're really short and they haven't emerged yet. When the hide is soaked more and de-limed more, it's going to begin to relax. It's already begun to relax actually, but it'll relax more and those pores will open up, because right now the hide is constricted and shrunken and hardened, and it'll actually kind of affix some of these root hairs in the skin. And since the skin's going to be gone over multiple times, I'm not going to go out of my way on this pass to remove every hair that I can. I'm just going to make a reasonable effort and leave it at that. Also, pretty soon I might scare up a knife and cut this hide into about 4 pieces. There's actually no reason, since I'm not tanning this, to keep it all in one piece. Even if I was tanning it, actually I would probably split it down the spine, cut the bellies off, and just tan the best parts of the skin, or at least tan them separately so that they were easy to handle. So anyway, I'm going to split it I think into quarters, and that's going to save me a lot of work. That'll keep me from dragging it on the ground as much too. Alright, again, so I'm kind of dragging the hair out with the blade rather than cutting it this way like I was when fleshing. And hopefully you can see all this gray, blackish stuff here is root hairs, these little speckles, salt and pepper stuff that are left in the skin. Alright, so not only is the hair coming out, but I'm going to show you the epidermis. So look, if I drag this real gently, I'm just kind of like, pulling just the hair out. Most of the epidermis, this very outer layer of cells, which is very thin, what you have on the outside of your skin, is still on there, but it's really broken down by the lime. So if I do that, look at all this junk. It's like this nasty, cheesy junk. That's those epidermal skin cells. And other stuff, all the stuff we talked about in the intro video. Extra junk in the skin, hair follicles, maybe bits of sebaceous gland, or whatever other junk is in there. So this is why I go through this liming process to make high-grade hide glue, because none of this stuff contributes to the glue, but some of it's going to end up suspended in the glue, and the hair on the skin is just, it's all over the place in terms of which direction it's pointing. So hopefully you can see here how clean this section is that I'm scraping with the hair going down this way. I'm going to turn that around. And look at the difference. There's a line here where it's clean down there and it's gray and speckly up here. Some parts of the hide though, the hair roots are not going to come out no matter which direction you scrape for now. But they'll probably come out later. So clean, salt and pepper. Look at all that stuff. And you can see all the hair follicles in there. Okay, so back to the flesh side here. You can see that it's sort of uneven. One thing we're going to be doing here is just getting rid of all this little bits of hair and stuff. But also, as I talked about before numerous times, we're also getting off what's left of this membrane-y layer here that we don't want, that's contaminated with fat and stuff. So I'm keeping this tool really low, meaning a low angle as in I'm not tipping it up too much like this, so that if I have it up too high, it's going to be more aggressive. It's going to bite into the skin deeper. So I'm keeping it low, but you also notice that I'm moving it not just down, but I'm also moving it side to side. So what that gives me is kind of a slicing action along with my scraping action. And if you do any kind of tanning that requires working on a beam with any kind of tool remotely like this, that is a concept which you should work on, is this two-way action. You know, you're scraping and you're slicing. It not only helps, but sometimes it's downright essential. Now notice this time that there's going to be a milky liquid running out of here. I'm sure that some of that is lime. Probably most of it is lime. And that'll happen for quite a little while here. Probably several times. You know, the first few times it's refleshed, you'll get some of that. It's probably also has some other stuff in it. Fats and, you know, soaps formed by the fat with the lime. So I took a little bit of effort to make sure this tub is nice and clean. I rinsed out all the residual lime and hair and leaves and crap. And now I'm just going to do the same with the skin, try to get off. Basically, I want it to go into the next soaking nice and clean. Why not? The whole point is to get this really squeaky clean, so I'm going to start now. So I'm going to set up the camera now for the next 3/4, 1 quarter down, 3/4 to go, and get you some nice macro shots so you can actually see what's going on. I'm going to get a different apron because that apron sucks. So I set my camera up hopefully so you can see this area of the beam really well, and we can take a close look at what's going on. Again, we have the hair. We also have all this gunky, cheesy stuff going on in here. Pits like this are areas where I gouged the skin on the other side because I wasn't, you know, because I'm using the sharp tool and not being careful. So they're just depressed, so the tool isn't able to really grab the hairs that are in there. Not going to lose any sleep over that. And let's do a little section here where we just kind of gently pull the hair out. See how easy it comes out? Pretty clean. And then a little bit harder scraping. Not very hard, but... And we get off all this dead cell layer. dead cell. So of course it's dead. The cow's dead, but I meant disintegrated dead. Like chemically destroyed. Here we are back at the old tanning beam, and these have been soaking for 2 days. I didn't get to them yesterday at all. They're doing good though. The water's nice and cool. They look good. They're starting to relax more, and we're going to go over the flesh side and the hair side again today. Reason I'm using this way is because it's much less likely to cut the skin, and therefore I can press a lot harder. So I'm really going to bear down now, and what that allows is it lets me push out more liquid from the skin. So I'm going to use this side on an occasional little tough spot here, but mostly I'm going to use this. It's still taking off some of this tissue that's left behind, so that's good. Now notice this time that the water that I'm expressing from the skin under pressure is more clear than it was last time. But it still has a little bit of milky look to it. It's time to go over the hair side. Now notice, see all that black goo? That's hair follicles. So now that the skin has had time to relax in the fresh water and some of the lime's coming out, it's starting to get more flaccid. It's basically letting go and relaxing and letting go of these hair follicles. Now as the skin has gone over more times, each time this job will basically get easier. I'll just be trying to press some of the water out of the skin and getting it back into the rinse water. So I've rinsed out my soaking tub, got that really clean, and each time that I go over these skins I'm getting off some more stuff I don't want. Little bits of hair, old tissue that's left behind, fur needles. So up to this point the skins have been fleshed. They've been de-haired, soaked in lime, de-haired, refleshed, and then refleshed again, and the hair side gone over to scud out. Scud, S-C-U-D, to scud out unwanted dissolved junk and hair roots and dirt and all kinds of stuff like that. So as you can see, they're looking pretty clean and nice. This part's really exciting to me as a skin worker. It's always really cool to see the hide start to go from being this kind of gross, slimy thing with all kinds of unwanted blood and flesh and hair, and start to become this clean network of dermal fibers, of the collagen fibers. So that's pretty cool, and they're just going to get cleaner and cleaner from this point. I probably won't shoot much more footage between now and whenever these are ready to dry, because I don't want to bore you to death with, oh, here I am on the beam again pushing more water out of the skins.